Don't mind me, just enjoying a delicious pre-match cup of coffee out of my wonderful Holme FC mug, available from LOLLUJO.fm/store, because apparently I didn't plug enough stuff in yesterday's video. It does taste better out of this though. Hello and welcome to part 2 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, what's happened here? I don't know what had happened there. Coming up on today's episode, we have our summer transfers. Obviously, at this level, there's no transfer window, so transfers are going to be an ongoing thing. Thank goodness, once you see the state of our team. I'm also going to play our first competitive match at home to Brighouse Town in the Northern Premier League Division 1 East, which is our starting division. But let's get started on those transfers. And those of you who follow Holme FC on Twitter will already be well aware of what's gone on here. It has been a summer of ups and downs, but we've lost our two best players, as expected, as predicted in the last episode. Can we even look at the transfers? Look, there's still plenty of players who might be leaving as well. We've just got there's nothing we can do about these offers that come in. So Bemba, Bruno, I mean, these are players I would suggest don't get too attached to, because they're probably not going to be here for very long. And I said that yesterday with Levi Potten. I mean, look at him. He's a Football League quality player. 86 on his scouting rating. He's gone to play for Aldershot in the National League, where he scored on his debut. That makes it even worse. He scored on his debut. He's earning £1,000 a week there. We had him on a non-contract where we were giving him £35 as an appearance fee. There's nothing we could do to stop him going to Aldershot. He's going to be the top scorer in the conference now this season, which is very sad. And we've also lost Spencer Cummings-Bart, who had been appointed as our captain. He's gone to play for Cleethorpes. Disgustingly, in this league, they're able to pay him £85 a week in this league. Cleethorpes are the team that the media are expecting to basically run away with this division a little bit. If we have a look at the Northern Premier League Division 1 East pre-season preview thing, Cleethorpes are your strong favourites, and we've actually dropped down to 6th favourite now. We've kind of moved around between 5th to 4th to 6th over the course of the summer. I think probably our most recent transfers are what's pushed us down to 6th place. At least we still have the best player in the division in the shape of Dean Morris, our now 16-year-old. He was 15 years old in the last episode, but our now 16-year-old defensive midfielder who can also play centre-back and central midfield, but neither of them very well. He's the reason the tactic is the mess that it's in, and we look at the tactic in a minute, because we had to shoehorn in a defensive midfielder. We'll get to that, but he's still here. We've also lost Tom Thompson, who's got, what a name, GPS led him to... Oh, Kev, no one knows about Tom anymore. You can't do a Tom GPS joke in 2018. My word, he's gone to Potton United in the Spartan South Midlands League. And Oliver Lawson has gone to Cambridge City. This is another frustrating one, because they play at our level. They're in the Southern League Division 1 Central, so the Southern equivalent of the Northern Premier League. So basically a less good version of the one we're in, because obviously North is better than South, Gravy is great. So I live in the middle. I have no horse in this race. But he's gone there, and that's annoying, because he probably would have been our starting centre-back. So he's gone to play for Cambridge City. So they've all gone. There probably are going to be more to follow out of the club, and these are the players that we've brought in. You can have a full in-depth look at them all over on Twitter, because they've all been tweeted out by the Holme FC Twitter account. Ignore Richie Brannigan. There seems to be a little bit of a glitch where players who were in on trial, it shows them as a transfer from who they've released by, but he'll disappear as soon as he's not on trial anymore. Although, to be honest, I want to sign him permanently, because he will be our best goalkeeper by a mile. So we are trying to bring Richie Brannigan in permanently. But we'll quickly run through these players just so you can have a quick look at them. Obviously, pause the screen if you want to see their stats. Rich de Groot is a right back, previously of York City. Ethan Kaiser is an 18-year-old centre-back, previously of QPR. Joel Mills is an 18-year-old striker, formerly of Accrington. Joel Driscoll, it's all the Joels. Joel Driscoll, 21-year-old Australian goalkeeper, formerly of 7 clubs. How has he already played for 7 clubs? Bayswater City, Stirling Lions, Perth Glory, Perth SC, Farnborough, Marlow, and now, of course, the mighty Home. Brad Smith is a 20-year-old centre-back, previously of Burton. Ryan Ellison is a 21-year-old right back, previously of Sunderland. Joe McNulty, 20-year-old set. You're noticing a theme, these are all young. We'll get to that in a minute as well. 20-year-old defender, previously of Bristol City. Nathan Owen is a 20-year-old left-back, previously of Walsall. Yomi Samuels is a 21-year-old right-back, previously of... I mean, he's had a lot of clubs as well, hasn't he? Goodness me, Yomi Samuels. Connor Smith is a 21-year-old central midfield player, previously of Fleetwood. That's interesting, because it's because he's not very good. Again, we'll get to the tactic in a minute. Reece McNally, 21-year-old left-back, previously of Wigan. Callum Bostock is a goalkeeper, 21 years old, previously of Grimsby. And Keelan Steenson is a left midfielder, 21 years old, previously of Accrington. Now, as you'll see, they're all very young. That's not a deliberate transfer policy, but it's a policy led by this. We obviously have no transfer budget. We're already in debt, which is phenomenal. We've got a wage budget of £432 a week. Now, I've committed spending, that's actual salaries that goes out. Current spending is what's gone out this week based on appearance fees. I've figured it out. I've cracked the code. Now, obviously, at £432 a week of budget, we have to keep those appearance fees relatively low. So the common thing among all these players who are young and they've come in relatively cheaply is their appearance fees are pretty low. Let's take this guy as an example. He's on a £15 appearance fee. Now, there are better players out there who are willing to come to us. If we have a look at the best players that are out there, so sort it by recommendation. So this guy, Simon Ties, is a 22-year-old left back, 87 on the scouting ratings. Goodness me, look at the state of this guy. He would be much better than what we've got. He would be an incredible signing, and he's willing to come to... okay, he's not one that's willing to come. Kev, you rehearsed this. Will Marsh, add all those words back in again. The message is going to be the same. He's much better. He's not better. For goodness sake. The point is he wants £250 appearance fee. And all of the better players that we've tried to bring in over the summer, they all want an appearance fee that would pretty much max out. Have we already tried to sign this guy? No. It would max out our wage budget. No, we're not even going to try and talk to you, Jack Barlow. But the point is, we were asked for appearance fees of £200, £300, £400 per match, which obviously would wipe out that week's wage budget on one player. So we've had to really scrimp and save and bring in youngsters who are basically willing to play for peanuts. We've got our youth players on £5 a week, and then a first team squad that I think the highest appearance fee we've got in there is £60 a week, is £60 a match. I mean, someone like Bemby, who probably is going to have left the club before the next episode, he's on £45 for a match, but he's discussing terms with another club, and he will be leaving. I mean, at least we've got Dean Morris under contract for 2 years. Oh, my word, because he's a youth player. We've got him on a 2-year contract. Does that mean we'd get a fee from him if someone tried to bring him in? We could potentially get a fee for Dean Morris. We either get a fee or we've got him for 2 years. Either way, that's an exceptional result. I'm very happy with that. But as you can see from here, you can get an idea of what our tactic is going to be. It's going to be this, because, I mean, there's a method to this. The method is mainly because of being very limited on what it was able to bring in over the summer. Even if we load up all of our squads, these are our central midfielders. Well, Stephen Dunn is an attacking midfielder. Aaron Seaby's a right winger, and will play on the right wing. Nathan Owen's going to be playing for us at left back. Keelan Steenson's playing for us on the left wing. He's a right midfielder and not any good. He's a left midfielder and not any good. Oh, look, there's our only natural central midfield player. Oh, look, he's not very good. A central midfield player is a high priority. The problem is we're not in a luxury situation where we can have priorities. We basically have to bring in the players who are cheap, and that has then dictated our system. And this is what it's going to be. So we've got this big gap in here where obviously there's no players. But I've tried to get players in their natural positions as much as possible. I mean, I could stick him up there, but he gets a nosebleed if he goes that far forward. So we'll just stick him there. What's the worst that can happen? Positives, we've got a solid base. We've got our back four. We're going to encourage Owen to push on and get in behind Steenson on that side. Can he play as an... Of course he can't play as an inside forward. That would be asking too much. That would be the ideal scenario. But we've got some decent centre-backs, as long as we can keep hold of Bemby. Otherwise, we've got one decent centre-back. We've got two solid ball-winning midfielders. And I know in an ideal world, we don't play them both as ball-winning midfielders. But I mean, he could potentially do some other stuff, but he's our best player. Shouldn't we be playing our best player in his natural position? I feel like we probably should. And then I don't know if that's going to create any chances further forward. Harris is actually a decent striker. 16 years old. He's another one who's come for our youth team. Bit overshadowed by Morris, but, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential as a 16-year-old, plus the advantages with being someone for our own youth team, that he is on that 2-year contract. So maybe we're going to kind of accidentally become a youth academy challenge for the first season or two of this. It won't be deliberate. It will never be deliberate because I don't see how it will be successful. And I have no idea how good we're going to be. The board are looking for us to avoid a relegation battle. I'd be delighted if we avoid a relegation battle. The media are predicting playoffs. I think the media need to have a word with themselves. But I guess we'll find out more in this first game. So for our first ever competitive game, this is our 11. We have Bastock in goal, a back four of Owen, Kaiser, Bemby and De Groot, with Phillips and Morris protecting them. Surely we shouldn't be conceding goals with that as a back six. We've got Seaby on the right wing, Steenson on the left wing, and then Dunn in behind, Harris supporting him. We are playing with a positive mentality, but this originally started as a direct counter-attacking system. We have butchered it a little bit. In fact, I want to butcher it even more. I want to take that off because I really don't want these two lunging in and getting themselves sent off. But my theory is we should be defensively solid, which should leave these players to get a bit more further forward. Can we even play any of them on an attacking instruction? He could potentially go on an attacking instruction, but I kind of want him to drop back a little bit. Ideally, I want him to push forward. But as we mentioned before, nosebleeds. He can't cope with it. So let's just get into the match. And this is going to be a good yardstick to give us an idea of what on earth we've got in store for us this season. If we win 3-0, then I'm going to stop worrying. If we get absolutely battered, I'm going to worry a lot. And wish I'd recorded like 3 episodes before releasing the series so I could change things. But it's too late for that now. Let's be passionate because it's our first game. I don't want to say I don't want to say we should be winning without any problem at all. If we play our game, we'll win. You're all very capable of that. There you go. That feels like a reasonable instruction to give them. So this is what Homewood looks like. It looks a little bit different from in that first video. We've knocked some stands up relatively quickly. I'm very happy. That's why we've got no money. We've spent it all on terracing, which that's a lot of terraces really for a ground that holds 636 people. I know for a fact from Deeping Rangers, who were just behind my house, they have. Is that us or that? That's us. I was thinking we were the other. Oh my God, Kev, learn which team you are. But we've just scored. There you go. We're going to be great. But Deeping Rangers have a stand that's basically that wide, but along the side of one side of the pitch, and that's it. The rest of it is just open grass. So I think this is. I think for this to only be a 636 capacity, people are going to have to be stood quite spread out. I'm very happy that we've scored a goal. Now I've figured out which team we are. We're not the orange ones. That's a hangover from the 24-hour charity stream at the weekend when I was playing as Cambridge and still feel a little bit dirty about it. But now they've got a free kick, and our goalkeeper is a big weak area at the moment. I'm hoping to bring in that new guy who will be a significant upgrade in goal. But obviously with all these players we're bringing in, they're all coming in on non-contracts, just like the players that we've lost. So we're in that situation where they'll be good for a little while, and if they're too good, they'll leave. So we don't want to bring in anyone who's really good. We want to bring in players who are just about good enough to then let our youth players shine. That's the plan. This is some lovely football here. Phillips to Dunn out to Seaby, is that his name? And he fires wide from the edge of the area. We're doing all right so far. We're dominating the match, which is important. It would be nice for us to grab another goal, but you'd think we should be quite defensively solid. Phillips there plays it across to Morris, the star man, to Dunn. Remember, Morris is the star man in the entire division. We should be seeing big things from him. And there's Harris, the other 16-year-old, grabs a goal on his debut, and that was a thing of beauty. Seaby, we talked about how he doesn't want to get too far forward, so he's going to have to be crossing from deep. There he is, crossing from deep, and Harris gets on the end of that beautifully. Look at that. Have we got any fans here, by the way? I've realised I've spent most of the first half talking about the stadium, and it's just occurred to me the reason we've got such a good look at it is there's literally nobody here. Where are the fans? I think on that last replay there was one fan. Look, there's a couple of guys here. Why are they stood so far apart? We need a fan initiative where we can encourage them to make friends with each other. Oh, look at that. I tell you what, I said if we win 3-0, I'll be quite happy. I think we've got some decent players here. A defensively solid system. There's nobody. There's like 3 guys in that entire stand. That wasn't worth the money we've spent on it. There's nobody at that end of the pitch at all. But I've had this discussion with people about non-league football before, about how a fairly typical non-league tactic is stick loads of men behind the ball and lump it forward to your striker for them to score. That's literally what this tactic is set up to do. We've hit the crossbar now. We could have been 4-0 up before half-time. Could we have hoped really for a better first half of competitive football than that one? It's coming home, boys and girls. Goodness me. I think we need some half-time passion. Come on, lads. Half-time passion. That was outstanding. I was so... You'll have heard the tone of the episode change partway through. I should be leading the lads, but they've led me here because I was afraid. I thought we were going to get an absolute stuffing today, and they've gone out here and said, look, boss, don't sweat it. We've got this. And I didn't believe them because I've been training with them for the last couple of weeks, and I'm better at football than most of them, and I'm 20 stone. But... there we go. We've got a decent team. We do need to be a little bit aware of these yellow cards for some of our better players. We don't want to be getting some suspensions. I really don't know what the situation with these youth players is going to be. Presumably, as they're under contract, if anyone else wants them, they have got to pay for them and we have the right to turn them down. But at the same time, they can refuse to sign permanent contracts at the end of their current contract, so could just leave when the time comes, I guess is the situation. So... if we get 2 years out of Morris and Harris, based on how good we know Morris is and how well Harris has played today, if we get 2 years out of those 2 players, got to be happy with that. I don't know what to do for another change. Should we bring Kenny Bruno on? Because I know he's our captain, so let's bring him on. He's another one who's probably on his way out of the club, and I think we've already got a couple of left-backs who are better than him. But as our official club captain, it's probably only fair that we let him have 20 minutes as he's on his way out of the door. And then I'd like to think that we might have shown enough to some of these players who've had their heads turned for them to just think, you know what, maybe I'll stick around for a couple of weeks and see what happens. Let's take Dunn off, bring Mills on. Mills really is a proper striker. We're not going to push up a second striker when we're 3-0 up with 10 minutes to go. That seems unnecessary, but we've done the hard work in the first half there. We're shattered at this point, but... we might actually be ending this first episode top of the league. Please don't expect this every episode. I still think it's going to be a long, hard season. But I am incredibly encouraged by the fact that this tactic wasn't the complete disaster I feared it would be. I think we might have accidentally, purely through who we were able to sign, I think we might have stumbled across a system that is going to be fairly solid at the back and give us opportunities to grab goals when the time comes as well. Which, that's perfect, really. That's exactly what we want at this level. Let's pretend this didn't happen, because that guy was literally stood in the centre of a square, of our defensive square, our square defence. He was stood in the middle of the 4 of them, and none of them actually tried to tackle him. So we're not going to get too bogged down in that. We're looking tired and not very good as this game comes to an end. That might be a problem with our fairly high-tempo counter-attacking system that we're using. Let's not worry about that. If we can have games finished off in the first half, it doesn't matter if we tire at the end. That could not have gone better as a first day of the season. Oh, I'm excited now. Oh, I'm going to come down with a bump. Oh, we're not top of the league though. Oh, well then, it's all gone wrong. What a load of rubbish. Right, we'll come back fairly soon for the next episode, I think, because we're still very early days. I'm tempted to actually show you the FA Cup because... we're playing in the FA. That's a big thing for a newly formed club, playing in the FA Cup for the first time. In fact, FA Cup and then Cleethorpes back to back. There's your next episode right there. Canterbury in the FA Cup, and then the big boys, the big fish in this pond, Cleethorpes, away from home, which is going to be a real test of how good we are. Hopefully we can get a couple more wins before we get into those games, because I suggest the next episode might be brutal. But we will end things there for today. Hopefully you have enjoyed this one. Again, if you have, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Keep an eye on the Holme FC Twitter as well for any news that might happen. But and let me know how you... I mean, I'm doing something a little bit different with the Twitter. Let me know if you like it and if you want me to carry on doing it, or if you want it. I quite like it. I'm thinking we might have that Twitter play quite an active role in the series, because what we did over the last 24 hours or so, that was a lot of fun. But as usual, if you have enjoyed it, pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.